welcome back to some Blood Crest Manor content. Today we're going to be trying to make a new prop for Blood Crest Manor, and that is a burn victim for the furnace in the living room. Now I know how that may sound, but that's what we actually need. So I've been looking into some different ways I could go about this. At first I was thinking maybe I would just make him like completely out of paper mache and paper clay, and do it out of like a skeleton, just building out around him. But then I saw some different things on YouTube that made me think I could be doing this in a little bit of an easier and better looking way. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get that started on this guy today, and I'm going to bring you guys along with me. And I'm going to show you how to turn this into this. Alright everyone, so the first step that we're going to be taking with this skeleton here is just getting him unpackaged and getting him laid out in the way that I'm going to want him to be forever. This is pretty much one of the most important steps of this. Just making sure you have them exactly how you want them. There will be no altering or changing them later. How I'm achieving this is I'm going into the joints everywhere that the skeleton is flexible, and I'm just screwing them together. This skeleton is meant to be posable, so he's very bendy and flexible, but for that I don't really need him to do any of that, and if he was to be more flexible later, it'd actually kind of be a problem. Alright, so now that we have him all screwed up and ready to go, we're going to go ahead and give him a good base layer of red. Now in this case I'm using an exterior spray paint like you would use like on a heavy machinery, but you don't have to use something that extreme. It's just kind of what I had available at the time, and it's not going to come off, so that's the main part. So what you're going to do is you just spray them down, but wipe them down as you're doing it. So basically you're just going to use like a little rag. You're just going to wipe them down and buff them down as you go. You don't want them to be beet red. You just want to make like a decent little spray down in a color format, because you don't want the underbone to be, and I say underbone is in the bones that are going to be underneath all the latex in a minute. You don't want them to be pitch whited. It just won't look right. But other than that, that's going to be it. Just spray it down and wipe them down, and you should give them a good texture and color. Alright everyone, for the next part of this, you're supposed to be using a contact cement to make more of like a webbing effect onto the skeleton using a blow dryer. Thankfully I had my dad here to help me achieve this. On the rib cage, as you can see, it really didn't do that bad, and on like the jaw line to where you were connecting it, it didn't do all that bad. But honestly, in my experience with this, it just didn't seem to work the way it was supposed to. It was supposed to create like a really fleshed out look, but it just didn't go right. Maybe it was the temperature of the day, maybe it was the type of contact cement I used, but for this I actually wouldn't recommend using this stuff. You can probably just skip this step right here and go ahead on to the next one. And for the next step, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be spraying it down with a spray adhesive and using some cotton balls to give it some depth to it. And what this is going to do is this is going to create us a good way to put some liquid latex on this guy in just a minute, and it will make it look like he has chunks of flesh hanging off of him. So for this, all I do is I just do a light spray, a light mist of the spray adhesive, and then just taking a cotton ball, I just kind of dab it onto him. And as you can see, it kind of makes him into a fuzzy skeleton. It was kind of really weird for me to see him like this, and when I was doing it, I was even thinking, how's this really going to turn out looking good? But it really does work, and getting this cotton on there is really important. I went really thick into the joints, so that way it would make sense that the bones hadn't fallen off of the corpse. And I went kind of more lighter and sprung out onto the ribs and the jawline. And this really helped create that decayed look. And once you let one side dry, you just go ahead and do the next one. And then you'll be ready for the next step. so now we're gonna go ahead and get started on the liquid latex part of this. So basically you're just gonna get you some liquid latex. In my case, I was able to find it at Walmart for a really cheap price, basically like 10 bucks if I'm not mistaken. But if you've never messed with liquid latex before, let me just go ahead and warn you, this stuff stinks. There's no other way to put it. So if you get some and you smell it and you think, maybe this stuff isn't good. No, it's probably just fine. It's just the way liquid latex smells. So anyway, so what you're going to do is you're going to take you a little brush. In my case, I have just a little cheap brush, a little chip brush, about 1 inch wide. And I'm just going through on all the cotton and brushing it down. And as you do this, you'll notice some of the cotton stands up more than the others. Some of it's a little bit more stringy than the others. But it's all where you basically laid the cotton and how you laid it. The thicker areas will look like big chunks of flesh. The skinnier areas will look like singe marks. And the ribs are really going to have like a stringy look to them. So basically what you want to do here is you're just going to pack it down really good. And on them joints where you laid it in really thick, you just want to make sure you put equal kind of liquid latex, so go a little heavy on the joints where you packed it in really good. And then once it's dried, flip it over and just go ahead and do the other side. Once you've gotten the whole skeleton done up with the cotton and the liquid latex, now you're just going to go ahead and let's start doing our detailing. So what I'm doing to do this is I'm dry brushing it myself. And so basically dry brushing, all you do is you get your little paint on the paintbrush, you paint it out onto paper until it's really dry, and then you gently bring it over what you're trying to paint. And this will give it a really nice highlighted look. So anything that's risen will have it heavier, and everything that's receded will have it lighter. And all this really does is it just really adds a really good depth to it. In this case, it's really helping make the skeleton look kind of singed and get rid of some of that white that the liquid latex provided. So what we're going to do is we just go over this with a decent little layer of black. Not too much, not too little. You just want to make sure a lot of that white is underneath it. And anything that isn't red or black at this point will be more like an ash color. You'll see little bits of white left over, but there's not very much left. So once you get your top side done, just flip it over, do your other side. This stuff dries really fast. And if you find that you put a little bit too much in one area, you can always just go back with a little bit of red here in just a moment and make it look a little bit better. So now that we have the black on there, we're just going to go ahead and get onto our red. And with the red, we already have red on the bottom side, but this red is a slightly more bright red than what's underneath. So it's going to add like a little bit more of like a depth to your red. And this, you really don't need nowhere near as much as black as you put on. You're just going to go through, find any areas that are white, find any areas that look too heavy with the black. And this is going to really help bring it all together. But once you've done this, you're ready for your final step. Alright everyone, to finish this off, we're just going to go ahead and go over this with some spray finish. And what this is going to do is this just going to make sure our acrylic doesn't go anywhere and doesn't have any chips or issues. And it'll also make sure everything kind of just sticks together. So with this, you don't want to be too heavy. I'm using a satin for this one just to give it like a little bit of a hue to it. And other than that though, once you get your nice little layer of that on, you're done. You're good to go. Alright everyone, so that's going to be it. The burn victim is now complete and set up where he's going to be permanently living. And I think I have to say, he looks really good being here. He really just turned out well. Everything with the exception of the contact cement, I feel like really just went as intended. Like I said about the contact cement, maybe it was the temperature of the day, maybe it was the type of cement I was trying to use, but I just couldn't get it to really work the way I thought it should. But with that being said, the latex and cotton worked really well and probably better than I thought it was going to. It really made him look like that fleshed out look, gave him a lot of texture and color difference as I was able to dry brush him. So I'm very happy with how he turned out. And I gotta say, it really took him from being a store-bought $30 skeleton to a more like an $80, maybe even $100 skeleton that you'd buy at like Spirit. Like, to me, he just really looks elevated doing him like this. So if you guys want to try this out, I definitely recommend it. Maybe try a different contact cement or do some more research on it. And if you find out, definitely let me know what I did wrong in the comments. I'd love to know, because I thought I was doing everything as I should be. But anyway, everyone, so let me know how you think we did in the comments below. If you had done anything different, let me know. And I'll be talking to you here in the next episode. Ooh.